Hello everyone, it's Jess Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland, my weekly show, where I take a deep dive into a particular film, and it's the 1950s, and we're still going through John Ford's films, and we will until the 70s, which means the rest of 2020 Ford. And joining me as a replacement player for this episode is my wife, Jess. Jess, thank you so much for coming on to this episode.
You're welcome.
Literally had her sit down and watch the movie right before this.
That means I remember it and was paying attention.
And I watched this movie twice this week, and honestly, that's not a bad thing. Well, I watched most of it the second time. I'm not going to get into why. Always check if your order is for delivery or pickup. Those are wise words of wisdom from your Wasteland reviewer. But more importantly, if you haven't tuned into the show before, we have 3 segments. We have our coming attractions for July 26th. How the hell is July almost over? And then we'll get into our release, our feature of the week, which is Wagon Master. And we'll give you some recommendations. So let's get started. Let's be real. Sure, the Fabulous Four's coming out. Because, you know, Susan Sarandon and Bette Midler, and, well, they feel like the two that really need the money. Because I feel like...
Megan Mullally.
Yeah, and Cheryl Lee Ralph is, like, big time on Abbott Elementary. But no, I wouldn't recommend that movie. It was bad. But... instead, you should go out and watch literally what everybody else is going to be this weekend, despite the fact that it is extremely hard R, and kids probably shouldn't watch this movie.
Oh, you know,
but they will.
Kids. You know,
and that is Deadpool and Wolverine. So, Jess, why are you excited for Deadpool and Wolverine?
I thought you were going to ask for a recommendation. I was ready for that.
That's the end of the show, Jess.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to need a timeline next time. I think it looks fun. I mean, the Deadpool movies are a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. I'm not expecting, you know, Citizen Kane from it.
I am.
So, okay. Well, maybe I
yes,
should.
From Sean Levy. 100%.
Maybe I should.
Yes, because
adjust my expectations.
I should expect that from the director whose best film is Free Guy.
They look like they're having a lot of fun.
Yes.
And you know, Shane, that's why I love watching sports, is I just love watching everyone not take things too seriously and have a lot of fun. That's also why I watch Star Wars. IPs, I just love a nice, lighthearted group of people.
Well, I have a lot more baggage for Deadpool and Wolverine. Obviously, like, I'm a humongous Marvel fan. I have seen almost every single Marvel film in theaters. All since Thor. I've seen them all in theaters. And I've watched all the shows. So has Jess. We're all caught up in all this shit. But more importantly, I have a deep history with the Fox properties of Marvel, where I owned X-Men on VHS. I went to go see X2 in theaters back when I didn't go to the movies very often. I went to see X-Men The Last Stand and received 3 separate copies of it for my birthday because it came out on DVD in November, and 3 separate people bought me the movie.
They know you.
And I've watched every Fox X-Men movie, better for worse.
Multiple times.
Yeah. I feel like I've only watched New Mutants and I've watched Dark Phoenix twice. I've only watched New Mutants once. Every other one, certainly, yes. Probably way too many times for X-Men Origins Wolverine.
I was thinking that.
Because how do you have such an amazing opening scene and then just deliver the most perfunctory collection of just things happening?
I have a story about that. It's short.
Go ahead.
I saw that in theaters, and I had the same reaction as when I saw Kingdom of the Crystal Skull as my first Indiana Jones movie, and my reaction was basically like, why do people like this? I don't understand. It was years before I saw another one. Same with Indiana Jones, I was like, why? I don't get it, man. There's
also a much more personal reason specifically for Wolverine. So in college, they called me the campus Wolverine. I've had Wolverine-style mutton chops plenty of times in my life. I won't for this movie because reasons that are not relevant to this video. But Wolverine has been my favorite character in movies for, God, it's 24 years at this point. Logan's one of the few movies that made me cry in a theater. It tore my heart out.
That's where men cried?
Yes, and gave me an existential crisis when the movie that I'm named after, Shane, was used as a basis for Wolverine, and then they watched Shane in the movie, and I'm like, my life has come full circle. But I never thought, after 2017, that I would ever see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine again. And here we are. That's enough to get me to go see this movie, besides the fact that Deadpool, I think, is so fantastic. Not a perfect movie.
It's not trying to be.
The damn villain sucks. Francis!
It's not trying to be a perfect movie.
Yeah,
though.
but like, they could have had a better villain.
Yeah.
Except him keeps saying Francis and spelling it out in Dead Bodies is pretty worth it. Deadpool 2 I love a lot more than most people, which I feel like way too many people shit on that movie. It is such a blast. And then the fact that they're combining this with like the Fox universe, with the MCU, with Deadpool and Wolverine as the catalyst, and the fact that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman have insane, off-the-charts chemistry with each other. I just can't wait.
We love that.
And I do wish that I didn't watch the last trailer.
I didn't.
Good.
Shane threw himself on the sword for me.
Because there's one surprise that I wish wasn't ruined for me. I also heard do not check Letterboxd.
I
cast
usually
list.
don't. Oh.
Or I would assume IMDb too. I'm not looking at any cast list. As we're recording, 24 hours from now, our movie will hopefully be starting in 15 more minutes because of trailers.
Only 10 trailers to get through.
Only 10 trailers for a Marvel movie. So, I am so off the charts excited. This is my second most anticipated movie for the rest of 2024, behind Nosferatu, which I'm going to have to wait till Christmas for. But
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas with some Nosferatu. So yeah, I'm hyped beyond belief. And this is the only MCU movie we're getting this year. And
I'm fine with that. I'm a little tired.
Next year, though...
Fatigue.
4.
I'm ready to be slapped repeatedly in the face with content again.
Next year, we're getting Captain America Brave New World in February. Then Thunderbolts, Asterix, in, I think, May. I think July is Fantastic Four. And supposedly Blade is coming out in November. That's not happening. I hope that movie happens. And it's not terrible. But that's why we're excited for Deadpool and Wolverine. But to get into our feature film, here is a little background. So, Wagon Master tells the tale of two young drifters guide a Mormon wagon train to the San Juan Valley and encounter cutthroats, Native Americans, geography, and moral challenges on their journey.
It really says geography?
Yes. And it didn't really say Native Americans, but I ad-libbed that part.
Good call.
This did release in 1950. Background, starring Ben Johnson, Harry Carey Jr., and Ward Bond sighting. About Mormon pioneers. Inspired the television series starring Ward Bond, which he wound up passing away.
Yeah.
During the run of the
sad.
series.
1960.
One of Ford's 3 favorite films that he ever made. And I can see why. Legacy has grown over time, received lukewarm response at the time of release. Produced by Ford's own studio, Argosy Pictures. Written by John Ford's son, he changed a lot of the script and told his son and his screenwriting partner, "I loved your script so much, I even shot some scenes from it."
Wow. He strikes me as a man who didn't apologize a lot.
No. Based on Mormon Hole in the Rock expedition, and was shot in black and white at Professor Valley in Utah. So not Monument Valley, but this was on location in Utah, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the San Juan River goes through Utah.
Mormons.
Yep.
But Jess, what are your general thoughts on Wagon Master?
I enjoyed it. Thoughts about Wagon Master. I love the little aphorisms they use. You know me, I love a good aphorism.
Do you have your notes?
I don't, but I believe one of my favorites was, in fact, my favorite was, you don't have the sense God gave a goose.
There you go.
So, having known a few geese in my time, they can be pretty smart. But I guess this guy wasn't. I enjoyed it. I thought that the landscape was beautiful. They had some stunts. I was very happy when a wagon went over, the horses were unhitched. So, good on the stunt coordinator. If they had that back then, I don't know. It could have just been Billy from someone's backyard. I have no idea. But I enjoyed it. I liked that there was not a whole lot of depth to the Native American characters, but it wasn't just like, here's a group of raiders coming that we get to just pick off.
It kind of tricks you into thinking that's how it's going to go.
Yeah.
And then shows a lot more depth than you would expect.
Yeah, they actually speak Navajo. It's one of the credited languages. I looked that up. They did use the S word, though. We don't love that. But
there was literal movies called that.
I know.
At the time, so...
Yeah, no, I'm not saying I expected better. I'm just noting. But I enjoyed it. I thought that the characters, the two lead guys, were pretty fun. It probably helps that they picked up some comical villains at one point, so they didn't look so bad anymore. We love a good bullshit artist. That's my general thought.
So, this, honestly, one of my favorite John Ford films that I've watched so far. This film is lean. It's only an hour and 25 minutes. It's gorgeous black and white cinematography. The way that it captures Professor Valley is really impressive with the landscapes and real stunt work. Like, there's a serious chase that goes on at one point, and then them trying to get the wagons up the side of a mountain. And, like, one of them, like, flips and just gets absolutely demolished on the side of this mountain, which was really cool. So, like, all of those is, like, really impressive stunts. There's some great shots. There's one particular shot of perpendicular to them all traveling, and it's, like, layered. There's, like, 3 layers or so of characters and wagons coming across with the mountains in the background. I'm just like, that is an amazing shot. Just the depth of the shot and a lot going on in the shot. And there's some really great moments in terms of how they shoot just them traveling across. Like, the film literally ends with the credits popping up on them crossing this big river. And, like, these are really awesome, intricate, and complicated shots that they're getting out of this. The music, there's so many...
I love the theme song.
Yep.
We need to bring back theme songs for movies. It was a lot of fun.
There's so many fun songs that they incorporate into here. There's a couple of shindigs going on.
Yeah, they have a roaring good time with the violin.
They certainly are having a roaring good time.
A lot of touching for Mormons. Maybe that, like, no touching, no contact sports rule went into effect later.
As Jess deemed them land shanties, because I said these are basically sea shanties but for the land. So land shanties were aplenty here and really were effective and really engaging.
Some real knee slappers.
Yeah, like some fun lyrics and great jaunting musically.
Yeah.
All that works.
That song had like 5 women that guy left behind.
Yep. I feel like Travis was so John Wayne coded with like his outfit and everything.
I thought he was John Wayne for a long time until you told me he wasn't.
But
and I was like, oh, okay.
Academy Award winner Ben Johnson of The Last Picture Show plays Travis, one of the 2 drifters, and he's strong, he's funny.
He's got a great horse.
He's sharp, does have a great horse, has a great line about drawing on snakes.
I knew it as soon as he said that. I was like,
and then you have like the young, vibrant Harry Carey Jr. as Sandy, or young Ginger.
Why did they call him that? Because it's because his hair's like, it's because he's got red hair.
And he's charming enough. Like, I don't think Harry Carey Jr. is like the most charismatic of actors, but like he's a fun time, and I think he's a good foil to the more rough and rugged Travis. Ward Bond was the real MVP here, as Elder Wiggs. He's like a reformed man who's now part of this Mormon group, and he's kind of leading the way, and he says some things that he's not supposed to anymore. Ward Bond's just insanely charismatic, and he's quickly become one of my favorite character actors. Him and Victor McLaughlin, thanks to John Ford.
Yeah, there's distinct lack of Irish people in this one.
Yes, no Victor McLaughlin to come in and be like punching people and drinking.
Come in and be an Irish caricature.
Yeah. I do think that I wanted to shout out Jane Darwell, who was a pretty big character actress at the time, who plays Sister Ledyard.
Oh yeah, I love that lady.
Who has like the big obnoxious horn.
It's literally like a horn, like from biblical times, a bull's horn, I think it is. You don't see that a lot. Then
they have this crew of criminals, the Cleggs.
The Cleggses.
The Cleggses. Charles Kemper, who plays Uncle Shiloh Clegg, is so good. He is such a great antagonist in this movie. Just his look. He's a bit stout. He's a big guy. Has his arm in a sling. He has nice mutton chops along the side there. And he's charismatic, but also empathetic to his gang. They're like his children. Some of them probably are actually his children.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
But like, you have this group that really are close-knit together, which is interesting dynamic. And they're out for each other, which you don't really see those kinds of layers and villains and stuff like that too much. Usually it's dysfunctional, like a la the Goonies.
It wasn't a comedic.
It's not like the Fratellis, who are always fighting with each other.
Italians hadn't been invented yet, Shane.
This has such an interesting dynamic in terms of, you have these Mormons. The Mormons generally are one of the most restricted religions in this country, and they come across so many different kind of people, like this was a hoochie coochie.
Oh, coochie dancer is what they were called.
And
like a belly dancer.
This dancing show where it's a group of people that are like not high class citizens.
It's a traveling medicine show, technically.
Traveling medicine show. And you have to see these barriers getting ripped down of this prejudice against, first off, the two drifters to begin with, because there's some conflict at the beginning, and trusting them to be their wagon master. And then you have this medicine show, and then you have the Native American characters as well, who show up, and at first it's because of mistaken identity, it's this whole entire chase, but then they bring them in, you see their culture on display.
Well, and they appreciate it too, because they have an interpreter, and they're like, drop the guns. It's threatening to have guns.
And then, specifically, you see the horrible things that white people can do to these Native American people, and they just want retribution because one of the Cleggs, piece of shit, tries to rape one of the young women in this tribe, and boy does that guy get whipped.
Ooh, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I don't think it was a real whipping,
whipped
but
on the wagon wheel.
Yeah, they deservedly so beat the shit out of him.
This has great action, a great shootout at the end. Tense moment with a bit of comic relief when Marshall and his crew show up. All of this in an hour and 25 minutes, and it works so well. It's so well shot. It's so much fun. It's thrilling. It's suspenseful. It's emotional. There's some richness to the gray areas that this film goes in terms of building out its cast. So I'm not surprised that this has grown a legacy of being a classic Western, and one that John Ford even thought was one of his best. So I'm enjoying this era of John Ford as it lasts before, we get into tail ends of things and things start a little bit. But Jess, do you have any other thoughts on Wagon Master?
I think that was it.
So let's go into our recommendations, because that's what Jess was ready for at the beginning.
Yeah.
So Jess, what would you like to recommend?
What was my recommendation?
National Anthem.
It was National Anthem, that's right. I would recommend it.
Why would you like to recommend National Anthem?
It was a beautiful film. It is very explicit. That's my warning.
Yes. They get down.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot
of... Get down.
Amorous Congress, as the Victorians may have said. Somebody's probably messing with me. But I would recommend it. I thought that it was a beautiful film. I don't want to give away too much.
It was beautifully shot. It was beautiful in the way that it portrayed a group of people who just consistently get shit on and be treated with complete disrespect and lack of humanity, and how well this film really captures the humanity of them and the LGBTQI plus community, and just the range of different kinds of characters that this film highlights. And, just treating them like human beings. It's that simple. And it's beautifully shot.
I would die for Karen.
Her character's actually in Carrie.
Oh, it's Carrie?
Carrie.
Oh.
Yep.
I would die for Carrie.
No. Was it Mason Alexander Park, I think is the name of the actor. But, no, Carrie was MVP character in this film. And I actually really like Charlie Plummer in this, and I don't love him in a lot of things. It's a beautiful film with a lot of love to go around, for sure. But it really just paints that we're all human, and we all have flaws, and we all have challenges.
Finding your community.
And, getting involved in a throuple where not everybody's happy and is complicated. So, chew on that one. What I would like to recommend is one of the hottest films in theaters right now, and that is Longlegs. And this film is wild.
I should have seen it. I should have gone.
Jess is one. Well, I'll buy it and we'll watch it at home. Jess is one of the
I watched Oddity, but I couldn't watch Longlegs.
Biggest Nick Cage fans you'll ever meet.
Like, unironically, too.
Correct.
That's
100%. And him as the serial killer Longlegs is off the chain.
We love someone who contains multitudes, either completely ridiculous or serious.
Longlegs is uncaged Nick Cage. Micah Monroe is fantastic. This film is just drenched in dread and just the atmosphere. I know a lot of people were turned off by, where the story goes, and it is very shocking. There is some shockingly brutal moments, and Nick Cage he's not in it a lot, but boy does he leave an impression. No, he doesn't. And I'm a big fan of T-Rex, the band, so got to enjoy some of that. He is indeed. So, a watch list film that I watched over the course of 2 days, Les Vampires, and this is a close to 7-hour film, released in 1915. It is a crime epic, featuring Irma Vep, who has become a famous character, getting a film made in the 90s, and a mini-series based off of that film today, starring Alicia Vikander, who is starring as Irma Vep in a remake of Les Vampires. There's a lot of cultural significance to this film, and it's incredibly modern in its filmmaking. There's great imagery, there's thrilling moments, and could have been tighter. Yeah, sure. But
we'll let the French have this one.
It's broken up into 10 pieces on YouTube, so you could just watch it like a television show. They did release it like that in theaters and serial versions. So they did break it out.
Yeah, that
over
would
the
be
course
a hard sell.
It's like a 1915 to 1916 film, I guess. And then one of our films that I rewatched is Chef. And this is a charming film with Jon Favreau, who plays a chef who, he is kind of in a rut. creatively, he's stuck doing the same kind of thing. He's been a shit dad, not really paying attention to his son as much. And he's encouraged when things go sideways and he loses his job in this big Twitter feud that he has with a food critic, and winds up making a food truck and runs it with his son and Jean Leguizamo. And this cast is insane because it's Jon Favreau, John Leguizamo, Bobby Cannavale, Scarlett Johansson, Dustin Hoffman, Oliver Platt, Sofia Vergara, and then Robert Downey Jr. just randomly pops up for a couple minutes because this is like prime MCU timeline.
Hanging out.
And he's buddies with Jon Favreau, and he gets to play... He plays Jon Favreau's ex-wife's ex-husband. And he is so weird.
Well, they say the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Shane.
And he's the one that gets them the food truck so he could start this enterprise up. And it's charming, it's engaging, there's a good message, and boy does it have endless food porn. Like, this movie loves food, and if you love food, you should love this movie and go check it out.
I do.
But that is another episode of Welcome to the Wasteland. Thank you all for tuning in, Jess. Thank you, as always, for hopping on and filling in when I need some help.
You're welcome.
And thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.